I thought, hey, I'm a full-time investor now. And the truth is, I was
Gotcha.
a full-time speculator, is what I was.
What is going on, DeRosa Insiders? It's Matt Faircloth. Welcome to the Cash Flow Digest. Our company is the DeRosa Group, and we're a real estate company dedicated to transforming lives through real estate. We make things better with what we do, and we help people make a good return on their money and up their financial freedom goals and reach their financial milestones that they want while they contribute to making the world a better place through our real estate ventures. This is the Cash Flow Digest. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys are on Spotify, and I super duper 10 pounds of gratitude in a 5-pound bag. Appreciate you guys if you guys are watching on the DeRosa Insiders feed, which is on Facebook. If you're not watching on Facebook, go to Facebook right now and join DeRosa Insiders. You know what? It's free. It's a free community where we talk all things real estate shop. And even better, this show is broadcast every Friday at noon Eastern on the DeRosa Insiders channel. You guys get to ask questions of our guest, talk shop with me, anything you guys want by being a part of the DeRosa Insiders community, among other cool stuff. I want to bring in our guest of the day. He's a good friend of mine, a gentle soul. He is an old soul. He is a great human being. I have learned a lot from. We're both BiggerPockets authors. Guys, give lots of thumbs up and likes of this program right now for my guest today, Mr. Paul Moore.
Hey, how are you, Matt?
I'm great, man. How are you today?
Good. You look so good in that t-shirt, and I'm overdressed.
You're never overdressed. I just like to have my brand right there across my chest. I got too much branding going. I don't know, but this is my wardrobe when I work from home. I think you're not working from home. And I know you have a really important meeting after the show, which is why you are dressed all in your fancy pants Friday clothes.
That's right.
So.
So good to see you.
Great. Well, for those that need to get to know you a little bit better, could you just please tell our audience a little bit about you?
Yeah, let's see. I got an engineering degree out of high school. I got an engineering degree, which was my first big mistake. Then I got an MBA, went to Ford Motor Company in Detroit, quit there after a while, and started my own company with a friend. And we ran that for 5 years. Wall Street was really interested in our type of business. So we ended up selling it to a publicly traded firm after about 5.5 years.
Sweet.
And I jumped into real estate. I did my first commercial deal in 99. Then I got stuck. No, it's not true. I did residential flips and single family rentals, small multifamily for about the next 11 years, and then jumped back into commercial multifamily. I wrote a book that was very humbly titled The Perfect Investment in 2016 about multifamily investing. Multifamily is still the largest part of our fund, but like I said, we have 6 different funds that invest in self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, open air shopping centers, multifamily, and light industrial.
When do you sleep?
It's funny. My wife was asking me that last night, and I said, "Look,
of course she has that at night because you're awake and you should be asleep, right?"
Yeah,
and what did you say?
Yeah. So no, the truth is, in the last, and this is an honest, the reason we're doing as well as we are is I've struggled for years. I've been a shiny object chaser. I jumped around to this, that, the other. And I made a lot of mistakes doing that. I mean, I made a lot of money. I hit a few home runs, and then I had a lot of strikeouts. And we could talk about that for a whole couple shows. Matt, you were on my podcast years ago. I had a
Well, you have a show. Let's mention that.
We had a show called How to Lose Money. And we
stop losing money. That's it. We've lost all the money. No more talking about losing money. But people can still listen to that show, I think.
And 238 guests and successful entrepreneurs, investors, et cetera, including Matt Faircloth.
Nobody wants to talk about it, but we all do it.
But at any rate, the best thing I did was hire an integrator. I hired a guy who was actually 21. He was a senior at Liberty University down the road from Virginia Tech. He was a prodigy, business prodigy. He didn't know it, and I didn't know it at the time, but he grew. Let's put it this way. He replaced 2 other business partners, and he's doing 5 or 10 times as much as them or more. If you know the Traction EOS model, he's an integrator, and I'm a visionary, and it's been just such a marriage made in heaven. And because of that, I actually do get sleep because we've hired a wonderful team to work around him. And I'm out here doing podcasts and having a good time like this,
So I want to unpack a few things here. First of all, you are yet another recovering engineer turned real estate investor. You and I both know good mutual friends like Andrew Cushman is a recovering engineer, now real estate investor. And I can name so many people. Josh Ferrari's been on this program. He has just recently left his engineering job to go full-time real estate investing. And we know there's so many people that you and I interact. I think a few more people in our mastermind might be former engineers and now real estate investors. And it's so funny that particular trade breeds real estate investors. Why do you think that is?
Okay, here's my theory. I can't say it's universal, but as a senior in high school, I loved rocks. I loved geology. I was just talking to an investor half an hour ago about our wonderful memories we both have about Yellowstone. This is how smart I was as a kid. This is how much good guidance I had from adults. I was sitting at a swimming pool going, yeah, I really like rocks and I want to play football, man. And he
Yeah.
said, well, you ought to get a geology degree. I said, okay, that
Okay.
sounds cool. And he said, but wait a minute. He goes, for a few extra classes, might take you 5 or 6 extra classes, you can get a petroleum engineering degree. And I said, yo, cool. I didn't really talk that way, but I'm trying to make myself sound as
I
dumb as I
know. We
really
try
was.
to talk like younger people.
So I got an engineering degree just based on the fact that I thought it would make a lot of money. I was really good in physics, science, math, chemistry. But here's what I didn't know. When I got an engineering degree, I didn't realize I was not an engineer at heart. In fact, quite the contrary. So by
Yeah.
the time I graduated from my engineering degree, I already had a sense that I was in the wrong field, but I didn't really know why. So I went back and got an MBA immediately. And in the MBA program, I took 2 marketing classes and my heart came alive. And I realized, I wonder if I should actually have done marketing all along and not
Yeah.
done engineering. But I
That's so
didn't
funny.
really act on that right away. Well, years later, I realized I love marketing. I love sales. I love working with people. I think it was just bad planning on my part. If I could go back right now, I don't know for sure if I would have gone to college, but if I would have definitely done marketing, sales, investor relations, something like that.
Brilliant. And I think I would say the same. My brief story is that I got my degree in engineering from Virginia Tech, go Hokies. Lucky enough to get a minor in business because I majored in industrial engineering, and you could get a minor in business. But my business classes really spoke to me, like accounting and stuff like that. And I was like, man, these are really cool. But I was down the road, and I got an engineering, by the way, because people were like, hey, you're good at math and science, so you should be an engineer. And I said, okay, again, okay, I guess that's what I'll do, right? Because we don't know, right? And maybe in America we send kids, just in the world, we send kids to college too soon. They should graduate high school, go air quote find themselves for like a year or two, take a gap year, go figure out what they really want to apply themselves into, and then maybe go get more education. But I didn't do that. I graduated. I did an internship when I was finishing at Virginia Tech at a local factory that was in Roanoke. I forget the name of the factory. And at that internship, I was walking around this factory, seeing what the engineers at the factory did, and I'm like, this looks like hell on wheels, and I don't want to do this. This looks awful, to go
Yeah.
sitting on a desk, working in this loud factory every day. I said, I got to do something different than this. And I found that Ingersoll Rand was hiring people with engineering degrees to be salespeople, right?
Oh.
And you got to go sell on the road and deal with engineers in factories on a daily basis. And you could design product and then sell them the engineered system that you would design and sell that to them. Compressed air, right? We designed compressed air systems and then sold them, right? So that job really spoke to me. I was lucky enough to get my chops cut in sales, even though I did my degree in engineering. So I was lucky enough to find a career that actually wasn't engineering and grow through it there. So, Paul, transitioning. So let's talk about your transitions, your growth, maybe the aha moments, the epiphanies that you had in chasing those shiny nickels in your early career. We can even transition to the whole thing about traction and that's where you are now. Awesome. But it's more fun to talk about a mistake sometimes, isn't it? So fellow shiny nickel chaser, two fellow shiny nickel chaser, talk us through a few of those moments where you chase some shiny nickels. There's distractions every day of deals we should look at, right? So talk us through what that was like.
Oh man, I need hours to develop this, but Matt, here's a couple moments, for example. So like I had a couple $1,000,000 after selling my company at age 34 or so. And the first thing I did is I started hearing about alternative investments and I didn't do due diligence. I just trusted some guy who was selling them on commission.
Yeah.
And so I think two of the first deals I did right after that, they went south. One guy he's like in year 22 right now of his 158-year federal prison sentence for, a Ponzi scheme. And I invested like $100,000 in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I invested in something else I won't, get into right now. But what I
Yeah.
realized, it took me years to realize this, Matt, that I thought, hey, I'm a full-time investor now. And the truth is, I was
Gotcha.
a full-time speculator is what I was. I didn't know the difference. Investing is when your principal is generally protected and throwing off cash flow, and you've got a chance to make a profit. Speculating is when your principal is not at all safe or protected. It usually doesn't throw off cash flow, and it's counting on the next person to pay more than you did. And I
Mm-hmm.
confused investing and speculating. And, many, many years later, when I started studying Warren Buffett, I realized that I was more of a speculator
Yeah.
than an investor. And so that was certainly one of my big aha moments for sure.
And I think that many real estate investors over the last 5 years, they've made a lot of money, speculating, and they call themselves real estate investors, but really what they're doing is they happen to walk up to the roulette table and it happened to have hit their number when they put their money on black. The roulette table happened to have hit black or even hit their direct number, and they got a huge hit, and they look like geniuses. But really what they've done is they've been successful gambling as opposed to being successful investing. And I've been preaching for a long time about cash flow over appreciation. And this is like, I'm a student of Robert Kiyosaki, as you probably are too. And Kiyosaki talks all the time about cash flow. And that is his fundamental real estate investing, or just investing, desire fundamental that you got to get is cash flow. But most people have made their money in appreciation over the last 5 years, which is speculation. And I think you said it brilliantly that there is an expectation that if I buy a property for X, I'm going to make myself and my investors the majority of the returns by selling that property for 2X, 3 to 5 to 10 years, whatever it is, years from now. And we're going to make a pittance of a cash flow, and then cross our fingers, God willing, the creek don't rise, sell it for 2 to 3 to 4 times what I paid for it down the road. Not the truth now, right? That's certainly not what the truth is. So you've transitioned over to being a more disciplined cash flow investor. What does that look like today for yourself and for your company?
Part of that shiny object chasing transition was not wanting to hit grand slam home runs anymore and just go, aiming for singles. I lived in Roanoke for about 12 years, and my friend there was a professional baseball player. He was in the Boston Farm Club, system, AAA. And he said 1 year, I'm just going to focus on home runs all year. And he got more home runs than he ever had. But as you can guess, he also struck out and had the worst season of his career overall. And so we just made a big decision that we're not going to swing for the fence. We're going to look for singles and doubles that cash flow well. Yeah. And if they appreciate also, that's fantastic. So we've put our priorities on safety of principal first, cash flow second, and then appreciation third, with tax benefits along the way, of course. So that's what we do. In fact, a lot of the deals we're looking at now are limited upside. They have a capped upside, but they have a lot of cash flow that's actually contractual. And of course, as you know, Matt, those are called preferred equity deals.
Yeah. But those are great arrangements. And then, you can only make but so much on your money. But like in the new economy that's already begun, let's say, and that I think we'll see a lot more of this new economy in 2024 and forward, cash flow is going to be king. And if you get into a deal, I honestly, I'd rather take 6, 7, 8% on my money right now than the chance to make 20, right? Yeah. Then maybe like pay me 2% now and, cross my fingers and maybe I make 20, 25 down the road, right? That's been the typical real estate investment over the last 5 years. What many operators know, not throwing any stones at anybody specific, but that's what's been offered on the market. And that's also worked. And I get that, but it's maybe not going to work moving forward. So I'll take 8, 9, 10 paid in a preferred return investment like you got there, with maybe the potential to make 12, 13, 14 on the upside. Then you're capped, and that's okay. But in exchange for that cap, you're getting, like, the floor comes up too, like the ceiling's here, but the floor gets raised as well. So you can't use the G word, but you can't guarantee anything, but it is a structure that's built around cash flow. I love it. Right. So, by the way, we're multifamily operators. You wrote a book a while ago about real estate investing in multifamily, and I know that you're involved in a market in multifamily that we are now, such as Kentucky, right? But you chose to get out of multifamily. Why?
I don't think I thought it through as well as this will sound, but in retrospect, I've been thinking about what we did. So one of the big influences in me going from a shiny nickel chaser was the book, The One Thing, which we talked about before, by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And they said, you can probably be really, really, really good at one thing. And so I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. Okay, I want to be really good at multifamily for a while. And at the same time, I realized as an investor, and hopefully all investors really believe that they need diversification as well. And so that made me want to be diversified across different cities, different economies, different strategies, but also different asset types. The problem is it would take years, and Matt, I hate to say it, but maybe even a decade or more to get in the top, let's say, 20% of multifamily syndicators. Yeah. The 80-20 rule, right? Top 20% get 80% of the revenue. Right. Well, I know I don't look it, but I was already in my 50s. And you're probably thinking, yeah, he looks like he's in his 80s.
No. You look spectacular. Keep going. What do you got?
Thank you. But seriously, I was already in my 50s. I'm like, okay, how are we going to be really good in multifamily and self-storage? That was my original dream. And then maybe in mobile home parks too. And I realized, wait a minute, Warren Buffett says diversification is for people who just don't know what they're doing. And I said, whoa. Mark Cuban said diversification is for idiots. Whoa, wait a minute. And so
Warren Buffett's words can burn sometimes. They're very brief a lot of the time, but they're taken to heart. And he's very out there with his opinion, but most of the time he's right. So
as you know, I'm writing a book about Warren Buffett's principles for real estate investors, and I didn't like that chapter, so I didn't want to write that chapter about diversification.
I didn't know that you're writing a book for, can you say that one more time?
It's called, the book's
Yes.
called Warren Buffett's Rules for Real Estate Investors. We've got 24 chapters finished, where we'll take a concept that he used about equity or corporations, and we'll take it and say, what would he do and say using that principle about real estate? And so
Wow.
we're having so much fun writing this. Well, the problem is I didn't believe what he said about diversification, but then a light bulb went on. Wait a minute. Who's got the most, what is the most diversified company in the Fortune 100, maybe the Fortune 500? And that, of course, is Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett's got interests or control of 108 companies in a whole huge number of different industries. He is totally diversified. And then the light bulb went off for me. The one thing says, I want to be really, really good, the best in one thing. Diversification principle says, I can only be good in one thing, but I need a basket of things to invest in. And that's when the light bulb went off and we said, no, we're going to step back and we're going to be a fund who goes out and finds one thing, people, in self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, etc. And we're going to invest our money in the one, in all those one thing people. And so that was the biggest light bulb for me, even though it didn't come in a moment, it came over time.
That's what, I mean, Warren Buffett owns a lot of Coca-Cola, right? But I bet you he doesn't own many Pepsi shares, Paul. Right. So he is diversified in that lane, with regards to personal refreshment products, right? So he owns Coca-Cola and probably owns a lot of them. So that's not a diversification play. He said, this company is number one leader in the asset class that they're in. That's who I'm going in with. And so you're doing the same thing by picking, this is the number one horse in this industry. So I'm going to invest with that horse and maybe not spread it around to 40 different operators in self-storage. I'm going to pick, but maybe in the top 5, so love that psychology. Paul, I need to transition. We are participating with you in this phenomenal journey around Giving Tuesday, which is coming up. I want everybody here to listen up, podcast guests, YouTube guests, and people watching on DeRosa Insiders. This is probably one of the most important conversations that we've had all year that I'd like for you guys to pay attention to. Tell us real quick what the initiative is for Giving Tuesday, how they can play a part, and I'd love to just say DeRosa Group is proud to be a part of the initiative you're doing. So take it away.
Yeah, Matt, did you know, if at least through 2021, I haven't checked 2022 yet, if you took the record annual profits, not the average, the record annual profits from Apple, General Motors, Nike, and Starbucks, added those record profits together, took that number and doubled it, that's the approximate profits generated every year by human trafficking.
Stop.
It's serious. It's much worse than I'm saying, but I'll leave that statistic. Think about that for a minute.
Well, let that sink. This is a real tough conversation, guys, but we're going to have it because we're going to make a difference and we're going to fight this.
Unfortunately, since we started our conversation, Matt, about 400 children, mostly girls, have been sold or captured into slavery since we started talking about 27 minutes ago. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's even worse than I'm saying. If you've seen the movie Sound of Freedom, the movie it's a great demonstration of one very dramatic rescue that is, representative of hundreds or thousands of other rescues that are being made. But the problem is, Matt, when I heard about this, I realized, hey, I'm not that guy. I don't think that I'm really cut out to go to Cambodia or Belize or South America and make rescues like that, do commando raids. But maybe I can send money. Well, but if I'm giving to somebody that I don't really know, and I don't really know what they're doing with the money. So Wellings Capital was sort of perplexed on what to do next. And so we looked at the way we do due diligence on commercial real estate deals and operators, and we said, hey, let's do that for nonprofits. So we looked at several nonprofits, and we found one that has 100% Charity Navigator score that is dedicated to fighting human trafficking and rescuing its victims. This organization called AIM, they go in Cambodia, and they're now starting in Belize. They go in and they rescue children out of trafficking. They'll rescue an average of 5 at a time. On that same day, they'll put an average of 1 to 2 people behind bars. And the cost of those rescues, amazingly, are only $1,000 per child. So about $5,000 puts about 2 people behind bars and 5 children into freedom. But not only that, it gives them the beginning of the opportunity to have safe housing, counseling, clothing, food, a family, and the opportunity to learn a trade away from the city they were trafficked in, where they can have freedom, they can have a new life and a chance to have a normal family, a normal life. And so we have been really excited about giving to these folks. We have raised, by my count, $485,000 we've raised or influenced or given ourselves
Yeah.
to fight human trafficking through AIM in the last 2 years.
That's 485 lives that you've made an impact on, justice that you've been able to play a part in the world. So kudos to you on that, man. I can't thank you enough. So but yes, talk us through Giving Tuesday, because I'm really grateful that you're continuing to do this. And I'm grateful that the DeRosa Group has committed to join you on this venture. So keep going.
I want to tell you what we're doing for Giving Tuesday, but it actually, we're only doing this with one group in advance of Giving Tuesday. I'll tell you about that in a second. So what we've done is we pulled together a bunch of folks in our mastermind and a bunch of others, investors that we have, and then myself, my son, and we've put together a match. And the way it works is if anyone donates at a link we're going to give in a minute, that amount will be doubled up from now to Giving Tuesday. That means if somebody donates $50, it becomes $100. If somebody is generous enough to donate $500, it becomes $1,000. And as I mentioned, for $1,000, we can save a child's life.
And the link's out there, guys. It's aimfree.org/DeRosa is our link to participate in this program. And I'm proud to say that we are participating in the match as well. And it's up to $50,000. The first 50K gets matched by your company, by DeRosa, and by many other syndicators and real estate operators that you and I love and respect in the world, are all contributing to that 50K to go alongside. So for every dollar that comes in, we're providing a dollar alongside that.
Right. And so that's how it works. And Matt, you're the first person I've been able to be on your podcast to talk about this. So aimfree.org/DeRosa is the first link and the first time this has been announced this year. So I'm super honored to be here to roll this out with you today.
No, thank you. And guys, listen, I don't get anything. There's no anything that anybody gets. This all just goes to help lives. Give somebody the shot that we didn't get, and to get them back on their feet and get them a life that they all deserve. I ask you guys to participate in this now. Give whatever you got. Like as Paul said, it's $50, $10, whatever you got, but it'll get matched. Whatever you put in, $1 turns into $2 in this program. Right. So
super honored that you would allow me to talk about this on your show, Matt. Yeah.
It's just looking a problem dead in the face. And the only way that we solve problems is by looking at them right here, not pretending they don't exist. And so it's very easy to squeam in our chairs a little bit with some of the information that Paul just gave us and say, let me change the channel. Let me go listen to something happy. Let me go put on my favorite song or whatever it is. And I commend you guys to listening for not doing that, because the only way we're going to create change in anything is by looking directly at it. Right? Looking at a real problem, as Paul has identified, directly in the face and asking the question, what are you, listener, willing to do about this? Yeah. Right? Because there is something you can do. It's not something like, oh, geez, that's awful. I wish I could do something about that. Well, guess what? You can. Okay. You can do something about this. By us being aware of something and not doing anything about it, you're really just as bad as the problem itself. Because if you're aware of the problem and you're aware of what you can do, then you're just as bad as the problem, and not to put it in your face or whatever. So put your money where your mouth is, guys. If you think this is awful, then join us on this journey, because DeRosa has agreed to be one of the participants in that 50K match. That is my personal money, not even my company's money. It's Matt and Liz Faircloth's money that's going to be joining this journey as part of that 50K. So in the time that we've got left, I made sure we got to highlight the Giving Tuesday thing. I'm going to give the floor to you. What else would you like for us to be aware of, either for human trafficking initiatives? We can talk about that if you'd like. We can talk a little bit more about Wellings. We could talk about your hobbies, Paul. I'm all yours in that. What would you like to hop into for chat? I'd love chatting with you. So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd love to tell a very short story that I thought was I thought it was a myth or a legend, but it turns out that it was documented and it's true. There was a guy in Germany. He was a child in the late 30s and the early 40s in Germany. And he said he was at a church that was right by a railroad track. You might know where this is going. And so this church right by the railroad track, there would be a train loaded with Jewish families, Jewish people that was going by the church. And as it passed the church, they could hear the screams and they could hear the wailing of the people on the train. And when they did, they actually said that they sang louder. He said they literally whipped up a hymn and they sung much louder until the train had passed. And this kid probably wasn't in a position to do anything about that, but he said he's lived haunted now with the fact that he tried to close his ears. He tried to not hear the screams and the wails, and he tried to ignore it. And that's honestly, so many of us say, well, if I would have been in Germany, 80 years ago, I would have done something. And maybe we would have, maybe we wouldn't have, but there is a chance to do something now.
It's easy for our egos to speak in hindsight, and when human trafficking is eradicated, people will hear the stories of human trafficking years in the future and say, man, if I was around, I would have picked up an AK-47 and gone to Cambodia and done something about it myself. It's real easy to say what you can do, what you would have done in hindsight. Right. But the bottom line is, there's always something that needs to get done right in front of you right now that you can take action on. This isn't a reason for you to look in hindsight of what you would have done in the past. There's plenty of times for you to take action today. So,
all right. Well,
Paul, God bless you, brother. And I appreciate your hard work. I appreciate you being one of the most humble people that I know. You're one of the most successful yet humble people that I've met. And I really look up to what you built. I look up to your character and your commitment to take on things such as this initiative. I commend you for the cause that you have as well, because it's one thing to build an empire of success and to build wealth around yourself, but it takes an even bigger man to take some of that wealth that you've built and spill it over to others, and to use the megaphone that God's graced us with, and to use that megaphone for your business too, because you got to, do what we do, but also to use the megaphone that's been planted in our hand and to do good with it as well. So I commend you. And in that. So thank you. How can people get in touch with you? How can people hear more about you if they want to reach out? Everything from your initiatives for not-for-profit drives all the way up to hearing more about Wellings Capital and how they could grow their wealth with your organization.
I am on Twitter at Paul Moore Invest. And we've got a bunch of, if you want to get our book on multifamily or self-storage, you can find that on Amazon, or you can find some free special reports at wellingscapital.com.
Wellings Capital, WELLINGS, wellingscapital.com. Guys, go there, check out Paul and his organization. Phenomenal A+ organization that's out there.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
See it. What a great conversation, guys. I'm really touched by the work that Paul's doing, and I'm really grateful that we get to be a small part of it here at DeRosa as well. So that was a very heavy conversation, but a needed conversation. That's what I got for you guys today at the Cash Flow Digest. Make sure you guys join us next week at noon Eastern on this DeRosa Insiders channel. If you guys are watching on Spotify, make sure you guys take a moment right now and leave this show a good review and a thumbs up on Spotify. Tell Spotify how much you love this program, so it'll continue to propagate it through the algorithm to other people so they hear about it too. That's what we got for you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys are watching live, have a happy weekend. Take care. Hey guys, Matt Faircloth here. Thank you for listening again to the Cash Flow Digest. I really appreciate you guys doing that. If you guys want to hear more about what DeRosa Group has to offer, go to DeRosa Group, DEROSA Group.com, DeRosaGroup.com online. You can hear about all the great things that we offer from an educational standpoint and passive investment standpoint on our website. See you there. And if you guys want to join our online community, DeRosa Insiders on Facebook, where you can watch this program get recorded every Friday at noon Eastern, and you can come on as even a guest or ask questions on the show. We hope to see you guys on our online community, DeRosa Insiders. See you there.